Welcome to the Perfectly Preserved podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Gomes.
And I'm Anna Cash.
Here we come together to bring you a podcast all about preserving food safely, easily, and dare I say perfectly at home.
We are master food preservers, moms, wives, and we love talking about canning.
Ready to can like a master preserver? Let's get into today's episode.
Welcome back to another episode of the Perfectly Preserved Podcast. I'm Anna here with my co-host Jenny. We are master food preservers and we are so glad you are here today. We have a really fun episode. We're going to be talking about citrus. Let's get into our episode.
Okay, so quick that I have thought a couple times. I thought we should really cover citrus, but that I've always back burnered it in my mind because citrus is officially in season more in the winter months. But as you may know, Anna and I usually take a podcast break so it never seemed very timely. However, I think lemons are the quintessential, both California flavor and like all things Mediterranean, very summertime. We're recording right now in July, so I figured to and bring on the sunny flavor. Citrus are a really cool food group because they are naturally very high in acid. And that means that they're easy and successful thing to preserve in many instances. We're going to talk about one of a really tough thing to preserve, but there's a to start preserving with citrus. And like the magic of preserving citrus is that you have that super sunny, bright flavor in times of the year when that is not as readily available. I have cousins with whom we are close that live in Switzerland. Their half of the family didn't immigrate to America when my half did. And when we mail things and forth over the holiday season, that's the thing I like to send is like a little tiny jar of lemon jam. We have a great podcast episode about mailing and how best to ship canned items. But if you want to learn more about that into season 1, I think when that episode is, a little bit of lemon jam is just a very California fresh summertime flavor. Awesome documents that we got from the University of California Ag and Natural Resources sites, and we'll link those in our really great information all about just some really fun recipes that you've probably never even heard of. So you can definitely check those out in our show notes. Anna, do you want to kick us off? What's the first thing you want to share?
Yeah, I love preserving citrus. I use it all the time. I'm a cottage food preserver. So lemon is a vital ingredient in a lot of my jams. Specifically for my son's wedding, I made a raspberry lemon jam that was his idea. He thought it would be such a good jam. And so I gave those away, or we gave those out as favors. But lemon brightens everything. Lime brightens. Great thing about lemon is that, and citrus in general, that sometimes jams can feel sugary, cloying, just like too much, and citrus cuts that. It does a beautiful job of just creating a multifaceted jam, whereas a sugar raspberry jam is pretty boring. So I use lemons quite a bit in my jam making. One of the things I did a couple of years ago when my parents had their winter home in Arizona is I went down to visit in February, and it was perfect citrus season. And so when my dad and mom were coming back up through Utah with their truck, I filled their truck with all kinds of citrus. We went and picked people's trees because I'm sure it's like this wherever you are. Whatever's in abundance, people a lot of times are like, yeah, take it. I don't care. We picked tons of citrus and I brought it home and preserved it in a lot of different ways. During this episode, we're going to be talking about certain things. One of the ways that I use citrus is in my cottage food artisan jam business.
I think that there's a couple recipes we're going to share that will be very new to you. Hopefully will be new that you haven't maybe thought of making. But my very favorite citrus preserve, I've mentioned this so many times, sorry if it's a repeat, but lemon curd, my fave. Super fave. You can water bath can a citrus curd, and there are several tested recipes available that are safe for water bath canning, but shorter shelf life because of the egg. But it is such a treat. I just love the creamy lemon curd. I can't recommend it enough. It's does a little bit of finesse in terms of just making a custard. Making a custard is probably not considered super beginner friendly just because you have to pay close attention to your eggs. So you just are whisking within an inch of your life as you go. But the canning part of it was easy peasy and such a treat. That's my absolute favorite. And then I think I've also mentioned this, that I made, it's not very often that the wild blackberries that I pick where I live taste flat. But one season, not this last year, but the one before, I think we had a lot of rain, and the black, like, just say it tasted okay, but not that good, delicious blackberry flavor. And it took a tablespoon of lemon juice to change a waterlogged fruit. And I think that you would find the same result, especially if you're using traditionally grown produce. Like, for
Totally.
example, I would say probably those gigantic strawberries that are a lot of color and not a ton of
Yes.
flavor. There's nothing wrong with canning those. And let's say you get a great price on them. It's amazing. Consider adding flavor and or lemon zest, and that may really help perk up that strawberry flavor that might be a little bit absent. So those are my favorite things about citrus so far. This cool recipe before I share this jelly recipe, talk about dehydrating first.
Oh, sure.
Would
Sure.
that be a good idea?
So last year before my big Christmas market, we decided to dehydrate orange slices. So in the winter here, you can get boxes of them, and they're, I don't know, school fundraisers, or you'll see grocery stores. And so we got one of those, sliced our oranges about a 1/4 inch thick because I wanted to string them in my booth. I cannot tell you how many people said, "Are you selling these?" So honestly, I think this year we're going to dehydrate
Really?
a bunch of the orange slices, put them in a little baggie with some twine, and people can make their own strings of orange slices. Around the holidays, you can do lemon, lime, orange. They're just wonderful, and it makes your house smell amazing. That's how I dehydrate my citrus. I've also done citrus zest. Nothing replaces fresh zest, but dehydrated zest also looks really pretty on top of a baked good.
There's several recipes I've read that allude to the idea that you should remove the zest. Like, for example, the recipe for curd says to strain your curd to remove tiny bits of scrambled egg and the zest. I'm really revealing my country roots by saying this, but I kind of like that texture of the zest.
It's delicious.
Like, I actually really like
delicious.
it. I think I don't strain mine because so far I haven't scrambled my eggs, and I leave the zest in because I think it's like Pop Rocks, those like weird
Yes.
candies that, like, that.
It's a nice punch.
So but I've also, if I needed a bud of lemons for just a cooking, so I would just toss the pith or the rind in the pith, I would just zest it and just keep a little mason jar just in the fridge, and then just a few days. So you can always refrigerate your zest too if you're going to use lemons and you don't want the zest to go to waste, you just save in the fridge for a few days. The first recipe that I thought was so cool that we found, again, University of California Ag and Natural Resources, was a mimosa jelly. If you doesn't imbibe alcoholic beverages, a mimosa is a beverage that's most commonly served at brunch and or sometimes at bridal showers or little special occasions. And it's usually about 50-50 orange juice. And if you like both of those flavors, it's pretty special. So the ingredients for this mimosa jelly, just to give you an idea, is 2 cups orange juice without pulp. It can be fresh squeezed or lithium added store-bought.
Okay.
2 cups champagne or spumante or prosecco or sparkling wine. Those are light and sweet and have bubbles. Teaspoons calcium water, 1/4 cup lemon juice, 3/4 cup sugar. It's just a very general jelly. If you've made one jelly, you've made a whole set of directions, but it's just basically mixing everything together and properly preparing the pomonas pectin. If you've never used pomonas pectin, we also have an episode specific about pomonas pectin, so you can search that up. It's just a cool, little bit different type of pectin that Anna and I both really like, and it works really well in this recipe, it turns out. But it was such a delicious sounding recipe. And then I'll add one more note in the recipe. It says, as an example of store-bought juice, you can use a combination Western Family orange juice concentrate. Use that. And fresh squeezed juice from Cara Cara oranges. The juice from the Cara Cara orange is slightly pink and sweet and will add a special depth of flavor. So when you're canning with fruits that are actually very high acid, you can do this option of including a different, a little bit of orange, choose a different citrus to make it a little bit different or make it your own. Just sounded so good. I think it would taste, the alcohol would cook out, so there would be no alcohol left. And it would probably just taste, I think it sounds awesome.
I think it does too. I've talked about this before. I don't drink, but I was at the Utah State Fair. There was jelly there. And I did not recognize the name on the lid, but it was in the finalists because it was beautiful. And my partner was like, yeah, let's try it. And I tried it. And having not really drinking a lot of alcohol, I was like, oh, this tastes bad. Like, this tastes like it's gone bad. Like, it has a fermented flavor, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is rotten. It was like some kind of champagne, not champagne. Anyway, I don't know. I'm alcoholic, but it threw me off because I wasn't used to that and I didn't know what I was tasting, but it was good. It just took me by surprise. I'm sure this would taste a lot better because it has some sort of citrus in there.
I really like this recipe too because it has a cool 2 different notes for variations beyond what I said, including you can do 3 cups of juice with 1 cup, and you can add sugar or reduce the sugar depending on how sweet you want it. So it just was a great recipe because it gave you a lot of flexibility. And I don't imbibe. I cook more with alcohol than I drink it. Can add some cool flavor, and the actual alcohol will cook out, so it won't be something that could intoxicate you. And anyway, that was the first recipe on our list of delicious sounding citrus options.
Yeah.
And then the next one on the document, I've made this a bunch of times. Have you ever made strawberry lemonade concentrate?
I have. Yeah, we actually don't drink a ton of lemonades. My concentrate is still down in my storage room. How many did you make for your family, would you say?
That I did. Okay, so this recipe it makes 7 pints, and it has 6 cups strawberries, 4 cups freshly squeezed lemon juice, bit of sugar. Those are all the ingredients. It's easy. I bet I made this 3 times from the early first, so when my kids were really small, through, I haven't made it in a couple years, but my family likes it. And actually, now that there are so many types of sparkling water, different kinds of flavored sodas, healthy sodas, all the bubbly things, I feel like you could cut it or dilute it with one of those.
Great idea.
Or if you were with Sprite, probably increase how sweet it was. Or tonic water. Someone else's grandma sure has lots of tonic water. That's like a very classic thing that some of us have on hand, tonic water. I bet that would be delish. So if you felt bored by the idea of strawberry lemonade, maybe you could choose to dilute it with rather than water. As a mom of little kids, I liked making it because I would put a little bit in a cup. I didn't do 50-50 like supposed to. I'm the mom who would cut the Cheerios. I would get like plain Cheerios and put a handful of the sweetened in. So that's how I would do the lemonade concentrate. So it was very weak, not a lot of sugar. But I thought it was a really fun one that you can try too. I have not.
Sure. I made preserved lemons when I got that bundle of lemons from Arizona. Preserved lemons were traditionally made in the Middle East region. You cut your lemon in quarters, but not all the way through. So you want it to open up, bloom like a little flower. You pack a bunch of those in a jar and put salt in there. You pound your lemons down so that there's enough juice that covers your lemons. And then you let it sit in your fridge for 1 to 2 months. And by that time it softens, the osmosis happens between the salt and the lemons, and it creates this really umami flavor. Even though it is salty and very tart, it combines into this umami flavor. They recommend that you scrape out the insides of the lemons because that absorbs quite a bit of salt. But the pit and the rind it's just so delicious. I would julienne the peel and then toss it in with my pasta, or you could throw it in with chicken and stock and preserved lemon peels in my Instant Pot, and it made a really fast, delicious dinner. Ooh. Sometimes you can throw rice in there and make it like this really, I can't even begin to describe the delicious flavor of a preserved lemon. So our listeners are going to have to do it themselves because it's so weird what happens with chemistry in food during that process that creates this really unique flavor.
Yeah. So I've never made them nor eaten them. And so it just says pretty much just what Anna said, but it gives spice options, which I thought would be cool to consider. So for a Moroccan flavor, you would include bay leaf, cinnamon, coriander, peppercorns, cloves, cumin, turmeric. Yeah. And they don't have any amounts in that, or just a cool idea to get your thinking going. You could do preserved Mexican limes, bay leaf,
Ooh.
oregano, cumin, peppers, garlic, onions.
So good.
Get out of town, that sounds delicious. Preserved tangelos, cardamom, star anise.
That sounds amazing.
I feel like that would be so good.
I was going to say, we just finished our Taco Tuesday episode this week, and so this would be perfect for that. Imagine some preserved limes in with your cilantro rice. Oh, that would be so good.
Amazing. I need to do this.
I know.
Preserving citrus, preservation recipe. So this is just an old-fashioned PDF that we'll link for you. It's so good. And it's out of Placerville, California.
Love it.
So it has marmalade, kumquat marmalade, chutneys, preserved sections, traditionally candied kumquat flowers, lemon dill sauce. It has all these things. And then it has the lemon lime or curd. A lot of very good recipes. But this reminds me that I made, this is early on when my kids were little, I canned sections.
Oh.
And I want to hear Anna's input. I thought this is not that good. But so I did not do it again. And what was not that good was I thought the membrane holds your slice of citrus together.
Bits
you know what I mean?
of grapefruit juice.
I felt like that became tough.
Yeah.
And the flavor was, I was like, ugh, this is not that great. I remember I did it because I thought, oh, I make cups for my children. And I was just like on this healthy mom thing, and which is a great thing to be on. But I was like, oh, let down. That's why they don't do it very often. And I remember one recipe sounded so good. It was like grapefruit with mint. And I had wild mint that I picked. And both the mint and the citrus just felt very flat. And I didn't love the canned product. Have you ever canned like that?
Yeah,
Anna?
so in this PDF doc that we're going to put in our show notes, it talks about supreming citrus, basically, and what that is. You cut off the top and the bottom of your citrus fruit, and then you just cut all the rind off, exposing the sections of fruit. And I did this when I got that big load of citrus fruit from Arizona. I decided to pack some grapefruit sections in simple syrup and can it. This does not taste good. And I don't know if commercially they add something to it that we are just missing. Like maybe they put citric acid in there to brighten it up or something. Not worth my time. No. It is a letdown.
It was a letdown. All the things to do. It was just like, blah.
Yeah.
No, so it's like we would not recommend. It's recommended. You could do it.
Yeah.
And maybe
you like it.
Email us, perfectlypreservedpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us what we're missing. Maybe we need to add something to it. But the basic, simple syrup, I was just like, whoa, this is nothing about this I would do again. Why don't we talk about supreming and marmalade, Anna? I feel like marmalade is sometimes regarded as like the zenith of your jam and jelly making.
Okay, so as a jam maker and as somebody who sells around Christmas time, marmalades are something that people ask for all the time. And I'm just like, oh, I said, I always ask, have you ever made a marmalade? And people say, no. And you don't understand how much work goes into making a marmalade. It's like a 24-hour process, just prepping the ingredients to get ready to put into your marmalade. If you don't use a commercial pectin, in this recipe they recommend a Pomona's pectin. If you don't use some sort of pectin, you have to have a thermometer and cook it to a certain temperature, or you have to be very skilled in knowing what it looks like when it's ready. I have tried to make marmalade 3 times in succession the last 3 winters. Finally, this last winter, I wised up and got Pomona's pectin and used it in there, and it finally set. But I, for the life of me, could not make up a good marmalade that set very well. And I don't know if it's my altitude. Let's be honest, it's probably me. But I find it so difficult to make.
I don't think it's you. I think that's probably impossible that it's you. I think that can't be it. Anna is a very skilled jam maker. She made 2,000 jars of jam for her Christmas market. She's actually a jam expert. For real.
Sort of.
Okay. So in this cooperative extension document, you see the UC document here, citrus marmalade. So it says, without added pectin, long boil method. Wait, I'm enticed already. Okay, so it says when peeling citrus fruit for marmalade, be sure to include some of the white membrane found just under the skin. This is where the pectin is located. So when you were saying cut off the tops and bottoms of the lemons, I just thought like you're going to cut off the tops and bottoms of your fingertips because you have to have the sharpest knife on earth to slice into the sections with creaming. But then you also have to get some of the white, the pith. And to me, I think that doesn't look particularly beautiful canned, but maybe I'm just wrong. I'm open to information here. Someone can wise me up. But it has 3/4 cup grapefruit peel, 3/4 cup orange peel, 1/3 cup lemon peel, pulp of 1 grapefruit, pulp of 4 medium-sized oranges, boiling water, 3 cups sugar, 1 quart cold water. And there's only 6, but you just basically simmer the strips until they're soft, and then you cut them into tiny pieces, and then you combine the fruit and peel together and adding boiling water and sugar, and then you boil it over high heat, stirring frequently until the temperature raises 8 degrees Fahrenheit above the boiling point of water for wherever you are in the universe. So you're in 28 degrees at sea level, for which will be about 20 minutes. And then you can it like normal. But I think that the reason it is hard, or one of the reasons it's hard, is that just is a lot of fussy steps in terms of cutting all the items and getting that amount correct. 2, I think having the right amount of pectin available is tricky. Bringing that to a boil to the correct temperature for your elevation is just one other potential part. And I think I did once, and I was like, I'm just not going to do all this. Like, I didn't want peels, I think. This is a terrible advertisement to hear from you if you are a great marmalade maker.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And I was thinking about it always is, I feel like I've seen it in TV shows where you're in London.
Absolutely.
And it's rainy and cold.
And scone.
And it's like on some sort of biscuit of some kind.
Yes.
Yes. It's like obviously would be delicious and so beautiful and very bright.
Yeah.
But also not something I know how to guide our readers to do, other than I think you'd have the best luck adding a Pomona's pectin.
Yeah, and in this document it talks about the long boil versus the short boil method. Last winter I went down the rabbit hole. I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. I watched so many YouTube videos, watching Italian grandmothers, watching British people, watching people from Australia, award-winning marmalade makers. I went down the rabbit hole when I say that I watched a lot of YouTube videos. And there are people that do it a few different ways, but I never saw the award-winning people using pectin. I still want to crack this code. It's really, a lot of them use the long cook where you boil either the whole citrus, you boil the whole citrus until it's really soft, and then you use a very sharp knife and you cut the peels from it's a whole thing. And I just don't know if it's worth it.
So Pomona's pectin, on their website, PpomonaPectin.com, they have a section for marmalade, and they have recipes for peach citrus satsuma marmalade, orange chocolate marmalade, honeyed pear lemon marmalade, ginger marmalade, blueberry, cranberry orange, tomato marmalade. What is happening?
Blueberry
Sunrise,
marmalade.
strawberry lemon, kumquat. I can keep going.
Yeah, there's so many.
So I think if I was going to try again, I would follow one of these recipes off of their website, because I don't think I know how to get it to set up without a pectin. And I feel okay about that. But hopefully we get some feedback from some of you about how you guys are doing marmalade, or if you want an expert. If you're an expert on marmalade, please reach out, because I would like to be able to make this. Parts in this where I may be ill-equipped to get there. So anyway, that is what we have to say about marmalade, and we've obviously had a lot to say about it. But what other recipe did you want to talk about, Anna? Because there's a canned lemon curd recipe. What else did you want to add?
Well, at the beginning of the episode, you talked about lemon jam. Tell me about lemon jam, and how do you make it? It's like a marmalade.
It was a jam. It was a whole lemon, boiled until they were soft, cut them into quarters, added sugar, and canned them. And this I feel really sure I followed a canning recipe from a trusted source. And without looking at the recipe, I don't want to say definitely do that until I have a safe recipe to link to, but I think I concluded at the time that this is a safe recipe. These are naturally so high in acid. And I followed like a time to can it that I thought, oh, this is the same as other jams of the same. In my 2 seconds of Googling, I didn't really quick. But it was good. It was very good. But it was, you boiled it till those lemons were soft, then blended them in a blender.
That sounds interesting, and it sounds delicious. I would love to have that in my list of jams that I make, because I think that would be really versatile. Like you could put it in, I don't know, like a cake layer, or you could, I don't know, just put it on a charcuterie board.
On roasted chicken.
That sounds so good.
Yes. And I don't know what the prices are for where everyone else lives. I do live in the state of California, so I wouldn't say an inside. I don't have a lemon tree. I do think that you can find citrus for a fairly affordable price, and they're very transportable. So it's got them in a lot of different places a lot of times of the year. But if you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. And thank you again to everyone who has left us a review. It really helps our show grow. If you haven't, go to that purple icon or wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review. It really helps.
That's our show. We don't want you to miss an episode, so please be sure to subscribe. If you found this episode helpful and informative, please give our show a rating and review. It only takes a few seconds, and it really helps our show grow.
Follow us on social media at Smart Home Canning and at The Domestic Wildflower.
Email your preserving questions to perfectlypreservedpodcast@gmail.com, and we will do our best to answer your questions on the show.
Thanks so much for listening. Stay tuned for our next episode, released every week.